Let's do my intro. I am so excited to be here with you today, and I love that we started off this interview, if you will, with me not remembering that I had an intro at the very beginning. So we went live, 1 second it happened, and then I'm like, ah.
Whoops.
So what's so brilliant about that little hook that was unintended is that you, Bernie, are one that helps people not do things like that, because you are a behind the scenes person who's going to help us with our virtual presentations, our trainings, the whole shebang. So welcome. I'm so happy that we finally get to have this conversation with each other.
Thank you for having me on, Meredith. I appreciate the opportunity to be here.
Awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and let you do a brief introduction about who you are, what your business is, who you serve, and then we're going to talk about your mustache.
All right, fair enough. Conversation always goes to the mustache. So I'm the owner of a company called Insignia Training Partners. We are a training broker. I'll explain what that kind of means in a second here. But due to the wonderful tools that we have that allow us to be virtual, I work with clients globally. To put it really simply, if you were to go and have your kitchen remodeled, let's say, you might work with a general contractor who would then go out and find your carpenter, your plumber, your electrician, your painter, all the parts and pieces that you need to get that kitchen remodeled. I do the same thing for learning and development. So we help you to find the facilitators, the coaches, the producers, the instructional designers, the fractional chief learning officers, whatever you need from that perspective to get the training accomplished. And over the last few years, particularly since COVID, we got really heavy into the virtual training spaces. You know, everybody did. Not everybody did it all that well, unfortunately. We'll dive into that a bit, Meredith. But my team helps businesses to design and deliver training programs virtually, where we help them to create a really engaging, seamless event so that the participants walk away saying, wow, that was a great event, as opposed to, wow, I just wasted 30 minutes of my time or an hour of my time. Most of my clients at this point are trainers, speakers, coaches, consultants, authors, subject matter experts who are leveraging virtual events as part of their business.
Amazing. What you provide is incredibly important. We're going to dig into why. So I appreciate that. And you have so many services to help people really level up, which is incredible. So let's talk about the mustache, because I know it comes up often. I know. So it's a little bit of your signature. So tell us about it. We can't forget you. And I always tell people not to be forgettable.
Yeah, no, right? Like I've literally been introduced by name and like, who's that? They're like, mustache. Like, oh, yep, got him. So it's always a conversation starter and a way for people to remember me, but unintentionally, you know, it has become my brand. I started growing it roughly a decade ago at the suggestion of my cousin over several bourbons. I was really resistant, but by the time we got to the third or fourth one, I was a little bit more amicable to it, obviously. So I started growing it out, not quite as robust as this. And then about 5-6 years ago, my grandfather passed away. He was, you know, kind of my hero, my idol. Also had a tremendous mustache. My family asked me to give his eulogy. So I, you know, obviously did so. And I was standing at the front of the room. I saw 3 people walk in that I didn't know. I'd never met them before. And, you know, when somebody gets to be in their late 70s, early 80s, you kind of figure you know who their circle is, right? So I finished up my eulogy. I went to the back of the room and I introduced myself. I asked them how they knew my grandfather. And they shared with me that he was their boss 40 years prior at the Better Made Potato Chip Factory here in Metro Detroit. And when they found out that he had passed, they wanted to come and pay their respects to the best boss they ever had and to see his big, beautiful mustache one more time. And from that moment on, I was like, I can never take this effing thing off.
You're never going to be able to take it off. Oh, thank you for sharing that story.
Yeah.
And well, you know, it's the test of time when you see the fad. Like I remember it was like just before COVID hit, it seemed like everybody was growing out a mustache or a beard. And I even remember there was some sort of like a document that came out of different images of different facial hair and how to wear a mask.
Yeah.
Now,
The struggle was real, Meredith.
I would imagine it was. I would imagine it was. It's a struggle without the facial hair. So
Right?
it was like a hot, steamy sauna in there, huh?
Yes, it was really uncomfortable.
Well,
I
you
won't
have
lie. There were a few times during COVID I thought about taking it off just because it was so uncomfortable to wear a mask.
oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Well, I'm so excited to dig in to virtual trainings with you because and I'll just share a personal story of my own, which is it's not that personal, but it's a story where I give trainings all of the time, and from very large groups to smaller groups. And I have hired people in the past to be behind the scenes. And then there's some times where I'll do a training. I don't have as much time, so I don't hire people. And every time I do that, I regret it, even if it's just 5 or 6 people in the room, or let's just say even if it's like a lead gen and it's a free webinar that you're doing, you can lose potential clients because of how that was conducted, because of the experience itself.
That's
And
absolutely right.
and for those that have worked with me before, they know that I'm always saying create experiences, find ways to make sure that people come back to you, that you're unforgettable. And I will be honest that I sometimes don't walk my own talk
Mm,
because life happens,
absolutely.
right? And we sometimes just move through life and we don't use the resources that we have at our disposal. So let's just talk a little bit about why it's important to have somebody, regardless if it's a small group of 5 or a large group of like 4 or 500 people. Why
Yeah.
it's so important to have somebody on the back end doing the tech piece.
The first piece of it, Meredith, is it takes about 7 seconds for people to recognize whether or not they like you or not, right? Subconsciously, right? They see you on screen or on stage, and it takes about 7 seconds for them to start to form an opinion. Now, when you're talking about virtual, if you don't show up well, those 7 seconds are all it takes for them to start moving on, right? To start
Mhm.
making an opinion about what it's like to work with you, what it's like to have conversations with you, how you show up, right? If you show up and you seem unprepared, is that what it's like to work with you? I don't know if I want to buy this thing. I don't know if I want to talk to this person anymore. Right. But above and beyond just how you show up, it's the logistics of running a virtual event, whether it's a small group or a large group. There are a lot of buttons to push in virtual, right? And
Yes.
especially if you're using any of these engagement features within Zoom or Teams, as an example, your polling questions, your breakout rooms, your annotations. I mean, some people struggle to manage the waiting room from time to time. And it's really more of a split of focus. When you have to worry about all the technology and try to deliver content, it's using different parts of your brain and it's hard to shift back and forth. There are some folks who figured it out, no doubt. But more often than not, as we are saying in the pre show, people don't. They don't recognize or realize how difficult it is to do all of the things while also delivering great content and a great experience for that audience. And to your point, whether you're doing a keynote for 400 people for, a huge enterprise like Johnson and Johnson or something, or it's just a small business development masterclass on LinkedIn, you want it to be a great experience. And more often than not, it's not necessarily how you as the individual speaker does it. It's who you get to help you to do it. Right. I mean, because
Yeah.
we talked before the show, sometimes you'll have your husband help you. Like, don't Zoom alone. Like, get whatever help you can. Like, you don't do it by yourself.
Don't Zoom alone. I think that needs to be your bumper sticker.
Because there are a lot of really great speakers, really great subject
Yeah.
matter experts out there, and the content is good, but the experience that they deliver is not so good. And it's often just because they don't understand the technology. You can't take an in-person presentation, turn on your camera, and deliver it the same way and expect the same result. It doesn't work.
Yeah, so I'm curious about how you help people with the design of the experience because I do agree that there's a lot of experts out there that have incredible content, and sometimes it's yes, it's about the behind the scenes navigating the technology itself for the experience, but it's also the design of the experience as well,
Yeah.
which is where I see a lot of people sadly not they're not very successful with that piece of it. So can you talk to me a little bit about what is that like to work with you side by side? Let's just say I'm a newbie to wanting to put together a virtual training. I've got a group of like 30 people and I've got great content. I know what I'm talking about. How would you help me side by side?
Yeah. So one of our packages includes that strategy session, right? And so what we do is we go through the entire presentation, what they're trying to accomplish, what it is that they want people to walk away with. And then we try to figure out what is the experience? How do we keep people engaged in the conversation? So what tools within virtual can you use? So I mentioned a couple of them: polling questions, breakout rooms, annotations, chat prompts, strategically playing videos and or music throughout the course of your presentation. All of those things keep people engaged. It's a pattern interrupt. And that's what we work through. So they basically do a rehearsal during our strategy session. And we say, okay, this would be a great spot to reiterate this point using this video clip. This would be a great point to do a pulse check and make sure that they're picking up what you're laying down, right? This is a great opportunity for a multiple choice polling question, right? Okay, so we've been talking for 5-7 minutes here. This is a good point for them to enter something into the chat and communicate with you. Hey, if you like what I'm doing at this point, can you throw up a thumbs up or a heart for me? So it's strategically placing those little engagement opportunities throughout the course of a presentation that keeps people engaged. So me as a presenter, or as an attendee rather, at home here in my office, I have 7 monitors that I'm working from. Okay. Most people aren't working from just one monitor anymore unless they're on their laptop and on the road. So that means that aside from the Zoom that I have right here in front of me on my main monitor, I could have my email here. I could have my Teams here. I could have Slack over here. I could have Facebook or LinkedIn over here. I could be watching a baseball game on this one over here. And you, as the presenter, would never know that there are all of these distractions here. So you have to dial people back in, not only to what you're saying, but the platform itself. You need to click the buttons over and over and over again. And then that, with hearing you, along with the actual activity of doing something in the virtual training, that's what keeps people engaged.
I love that. And I feel that most people are not doing that.
They
They are
aren't.
not. And they're also I also feel like a lot I always say set up the rules of engagement too. How do you want people to engage with you during your presentation? And say that from the very beginning.
Absolutely.
Have something happening when people come into the space and not just sitting in the waiting room. There's lots of different things. I love that you during that strategy session you go through their presentation itself and you offer some advice for like
Mhm.
here's a place where we need to disrupt, here's a place where we need to wake them up a little bit. I love that because we don't get collaborators like that often.
No, no.
It's good to have someone to push against.
A lot of facilitators, they fall into the trap of telling is training, right?
Yeah,
You can't just talk at people for an hour. Like keynotes and lectures, there's a place for them. But if the point of the presentation that you're giving is for them to learn something, you have to keep them engaged the entire time because they
yeah.
will tune out. There's too much happening in our worlds now not to start to tune out if you're not being engaged.
Yeah. I mean, it's almost like I need to do dry runs with my 14-year-old. And if she
Right.
snoozes, I'm losing.
Right. That's right.
She's like, I'm out, mom. I can't even get her to watch my TikToks anymore. She's just like, I'm done with you. I live with you.
And so many of these folks that are doing the events, the live events and such on LinkedIn, like LinkedIn Live, I like it as a space just to get out there, but
Yeah.
it's not the most engaging thing
No.
just on its own, right? Like you have the chat and that's it. Zoom a little bit better, right? And Teams and some of the other platforms, but then there's other levels too. Like there's other apps that you can use. Kahoot for gamification, Poll
Yeah.
Everywhere, Stream Alive, Miro boards. Like you go to some of these LinkedIn master classes, content is pretty decent, but the engagement is terrible. They just talk at people for an hour or more sometimes. It's like, stop.
Yeah. I think that goes to that boils down to your objective and your intentionality behind the training itself. So
Absolutely.
if you want people to really take away value and do something with the information that you're sharing with them, then getting them as engaged and as active in the information as possible is going to be your best bet for that happening. Because otherwise, like you said, people will just tune out. Okay, so I'm going to just really quick here. If people are watching right now, if you have a specific question about virtual trainings, about how like maybe you can start engaging your audience better, please put questions into the comments here, into the chat, so that we can help address those. We've got Bernie here. You've got me here. Use us as resources. So if you're just joining us and you're listening, we're talking about how to bring virtual trainings to life, how to have somebody there that's going to run the tech for you, and also be a collaborator when it comes to creating better experiences for your audience, which is incredibly important because virtual trainings are not going to go away. They are here to stay. And so it's really important that you don't just take advantage of being, live is better. It's always better. Guarantee it. My trainings are super physical. Yes, you heard that. I'm not going to let you sit down the entire time. And I still do very active, engaging trainings virtually, but it's harder. It's different, right? So we've got to figure out how can we keep our audiences engaged. So with that, what do you feel, Bernie, is like, what can you talk about a training maybe in the recent past or one that you've done that stands out to you where it's like, ooh, I really love what this person did to keep their audience engaged?
There's a few things. I really, honestly, I'm a very simple man. I don't need a whole lot to be impressed in a virtual event. Like a lot of the folks out there, because the bar is very low, if they're using the basic stuff like polling questions and breakout rooms,
So sad.
like they know how to show up on camera. They're framed properly. They have good lighting, audio, sound. Like that to me in and of itself is pretty impressive right now.
Oh my goodness. Okay, can we talk about that?
Yes.
Can we talk about the lighting, and can we talk about the mic, and can we talk about background? Can we talk about virtual backgrounds? Can we just talk about all those things really
I
quick?
would
Because
love
I have
to.
my opinions and I know you have yours.
Yes. So, what I see a lot of people do again is they just flip on the camera, whatever device they have, they flip it on. They don't really think about the lighting. They don't think about positioning where the camera is, where the microphone is. And that in and of itself is the most basic stuff that you have to pay attention to. How you show up, right? Because you can speak to this. If you're going to go do an in-person event, right? You're going to take the time to probably take a shower, right? You're going to go and brush your teeth and your hair. You're going to pick an outfit that makes you feel good. You're going to power pose in front of the mirror for a little, like you're going to do all of those things to prepare to go out and do the thing. But then we don't do that in virtual. And you show up like you're in witness protection with lights behind you, like you're talking through a fishbowl, right? Yeah. Oh my God, yes. or where the camera is positioned below them, and so you're staring up their nose for an hour. Like, come on, guys. A lot of this stuff is very basic, but here's the thing, Meredith. It's unconscious incompetence. People just they don't even think about it. They don't even realize that they should be paying attention to that. Like my background here is pretty curated, but it's busy. I like this background because it shows a little bit of my personality. If you can't tell, I'm a huge fan of Iron Man, right? Like I want that to come through. If my audience was going to be, corporate executives, I probably would have a virtual background, branded, very simple, clean, non-distracting. That is what I would use for that type of audience. But for a podcast or my own signature personal events, I want to show as much of my personality as possible because people are going to buy from me as the individual, not because I produce events. They are going to buy from me because they like me, because they appreciate the things that I share and that I'm into.
I love that. Can we talk about the virtual backgrounds a little bit? Because I still see big fails on those virtual backgrounds, and they can be very distracting, or the colors are off. People have things scrolling across the top, or their brand logo, you can't really read it. Talk to me, what is an effective virtual background?
Very simple, very clean, as minimum amount of movement as possible. You don't want the attention to be on your background. You want it to accentuate you as the person who's on camera. Now, there's a lot of people who are using like OBS, and there's a new feature in Zoom. Actually, I don't know that it's new, really new, but you can basically place yourself into the presentation. And in some cases, for some content, I think that that is okay. But if you're trying to be professional and you are in front of a more executive level audience, I would not have things scrolling. I would not have waves going in the background. I would not have the Millennium Falcon behind you with, the simplicity is genius. You want to be the center of attention, not your background. And
Thank
that's
you.
kind of a little bit of a contradiction with what I've got going on here at the moment.
Well, I like your background actually. It's I mean, if we were on a Zoom call, I would imagine it would be bigger, so I'd be able to see some of the details a little bit better.
Yeah.
I do think again, it's about the objective, the intentionality behind it. Like if you want people to know a little bit more about who you are on a personal level, you want to spark curiosity, then I would say have a staged background, right? Um, I would say also, if you're going to have a virtual background, is the lighting piece, because so often people don't have the right lighting. And so it just looks really awkward. I think the successful ones are when I'm like, is that their house really?
Right. Yeah.
Like you can't tell.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's an amazing
There's
house.
a collaboration partner that I work with, Jason. He's got this really amazing background. It actually looks like he's sitting in an office, like like in a true executive, like almost 70s style wood paneling, like
Yes.
really, really cool. And like after our third or fourth meeting, I was like, is that a virtual back? I had no idea. Some people have really good virtual backgrounds. Most of them are not so.
Well, I feel like it's great too, because when you share like your background, it's a conversation piece.
Yep.
I mean, I don't have much conversation. Like, what would be one question you would ask about me based on my very simple background?
So you like plants, ferns? Is that fern?
Yeah, but it's fake.
Yeah.
It's a
But
fake
it
plant.
looks very clean. It's very professional, though.
Thank you. And you
That
wouldn't know that I'm in my bedroom
would not.
because I live in New York City.
Mm,
So my husband's a musician.
yeah.
He gets the office space. I get the corner of the bedroom. But nobody needs to know that. They wouldn't know that.
They would not.
Everyone now knows that because everyone will be watching this.
That's right.
Everybody will be watching this.
Well,
But I do.
that's actually a beautiful point, Meredith. Right? Like you can even make your bedroom look like a professional studio.
Yep, you can. And there was a long time where I hemmed and hawed because my bed was in the background at the beginning of COVID, and I was like, I cannot have my bed in the background. I still see that a lot.
Mhm.
But you can get creative. You can get
Absolutely.
creative with your spaces for sure.
Absolutely.
You and IKEA. I mean, come on. There's a lot we
Right.
can do there. There's a lot we can do there. Um,
Absolutely.
so tell me, what do you feel is the biggest? I know we've talked about a couple of things, but if you were to give like advice right now about one of the biggest mistakes people keep making that they should stop making, what would it be?
Um, if you're going to present your event as something engaging, don't just talk at people. Like strategically think about how you're going to engage your audience. Make it something that you do as part of your rehearsal, not as a secondary thought, because it's equally important how you manage your virtual stage as it does how you present your message.
Beautiful. I love that. And I second that. I would say yes, and yes, and yes, and to that. I do feel like it's more show, don't tell. Right? And then we also have the thing I always impress upon is that we have different learners in your audience. So you have to figure out how are you going to reach the different learners in your audience. And if you're just talking at people, you're inevitably going to lose them.
You're going to lose at least half of them.
You're
Yep.
going to lose at least you lose me.
Yep.
I'm one of those people like get me engaged, get my
Yep.
hands dirty.
Absolutely.
I don't want to zone out. If I'm going to say yes to something, I want to be present.
That's right.
Right?
What I tell people is if when you're practicing, when you're creating your presentation, you want to have an engagement opportunity every 5 to 7 minutes.
Yep.
At the max.
Yeah.
At
Yeah.
the max.
Yeah. And it goes back to just how do you want people to leave feeling? And if you want them to leave feeling empowered with the tools that you've shared with them, then you need to figure out how you're going to get that.
Yeah.
You have to figure out how to get that. So tell me a little bit more, because we talk about this forever. First of all, I'm just going to recap here for people. We've been talking about virtual trainings. We've just talked about how to show up and how to show up professionally. how to be square with your camera, look into the camera when you're speaking, have great equipment if you're going to be doing this, because why waste your time? Because you will lose people if you don't show up professionally. And then to hire somebody like Bernie who can help you with the behind the scenes things. Because I will tell you, even in this LinkedIn Live right now, there's little things that I get to do. For example, right now I can bring up, and I'm looking for it, right? So I am distracted. I'm not as present as I could be, which is key. See, look at this handy little QR code where you can connect with Bernie. But what happens is when I need to leave the camera, you can see that my eyes are shifting away. You can see that I'm not as present with my audience as I could be. And I'm now multitasking. And I miss things that people say, and I miss things that I'm saying because I'm just speaking for the sake of speaking while I'm trying to do something at the same time. And that doesn't feel good for anybody.
Agreed. 100% agreed, Meredith. Multitasking is at best a fallacy. I mean, like you really can't
No.
multitask and give 100% attention to more than one thing at a time. If you're trying to do any of those things really well, you shouldn't be trying to do other things while doing it.
No. I mean, there was a time where I'd brag about how good I was at multitasking, but my brain no longer does that.
No.
My brain my
Nope.
brain short-circuited somewhere around 35.
Right.
So now it's like when I try to multitask, I literally get sweaty. I
I
just
forget both the first and the second thing I was trying to do all the time.
That's why I'm really impressed that you have 7 screens in front of you, because I have 1 on purpose.
To keep you focused. I
I mean,
understand.
I have my phone, but I mean, I'll literally be in the middle of trying to find someone's email address, and the next thing I know, I'm on Instagram. Like, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Squirrel.
Well, so, I think that's a good point there too, right? If you're dealing with a lot of entrepreneurs, like, we're all squirrely. So, like,
Mhm,
how are you gonna keep us engaged? Okay,
mhm.
what is one thing that's been the most effective that did I already ask that question? I did.
Not
Most
most
effective.
effective.
Nope, I said least effective. What's the most effective thing that you've seen?
What's the most effective thing that I'm seeing right now? I really like when people use breakout rooms, to be honest with you. Again, it seems very simple, but getting people to engage in group learning is really very effective. If you can get people working together on a task together, many minds, right, coming
Yeah.
together on one issue always garners a better result ultimately. And again, it gets people more engaged, and not just with you as the facilitator, but with each other, because now they start to build that relationship in the course. So I love strategic use of breakout rooms.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of that too. And it also I feel as a good facilitator as well, it's so nice when you can get your audience speaking more than you
Hmm.
and finding the answers for themselves.
Absolutely.
And I feel that those small groups, what they do is they create a safe space
Hmm.
so that people can start to speak more openly.
Yep.
And when you invite that in, magic can happen. And I also would say one thing that I have also found really effective is those rules of engagement up top, which is we're going to have cameras on for this, because if you don't have your camera on, we're not going to have great this the possibility for what you can learn is not going to be as good.
Absolutely.
um, so for engagement, we've got to build trust, and it's really difficult to build trust quickly in virtual spaces when people are not all invited to be present with each other.
Hmm. And I think that there is something to be said, though, Meredith. There's a neurodivergent, learner and population out there.
Yep.
Sometimes they don't feel comfortable on camera, and I
True.
want to respect that as
I do
well.
too.
But I think that there is, again, a huge benefit of using the smaller spaces, the breakout rooms, for people to be seen and heard. Like, I don't need necessarily everybody in the main room, especially if it's a really, a larger event, 100 people. But I would like for them to make sure that in those activities they feel comfortable to be engaged. And a lot of times, being in the big space is intimidating for people, and I understand and respect that. But if you can get them in the smaller space, oftentimes you will see the wallflowers, if you will, open up a little bit.
I appreciate that you said that, and I would agree with that too. Yeah, that you have to be mindful of the different learners and people in the space for sure, and that That does cause anxiety for some people.
100%.
100% it does. So yeah, the smaller rooms are great. And the way we can, your audience can, if you can help them lift each other up,
Absolutely.
I think it's really successful.
Yep.
So tell me a little bit more about other things that you offer up to your community, because I know you have a couple events that are coming up.
Yeah. So let's see. My next event actually is coming up on what is it, August 19th, Tuesday. So I don't present myself as a speaker coach in the way that you do. However, as a producer, and obviously as I've kind of shared, there's a lot of things that I've learned along the way to help people who want to get on the virtual stage. So I run a monthly event called Audience Alchemy, where I am teaching oftentimes coaches, again, solopreneurs, people who want to leverage this space for speaking, how to do public events. So we go through everything from how to set up your Zoom room, how to post it on LinkedIn, how to invite your audience to it, right? And then we work through some of the engagement features, all of that to get people to do virtual as well as they can. Again, there's a lot of dumpster fires out there right now. I also run a quarterly event called Let's Talk About Suicide, because we need to.
Hmm.
I lost my best friend to suicide a little over 20 years ago, and it's my way of not only healing myself, but helping others as well. There's a lot of stigma around suicide. People
Yeah.
don't generally want to talk about death related topics, but if we don't talk about it, the things just continue, and we're
Yeah.
not able to educate ourselves enough on how to help someone oftentimes that we care about and love. I mean, I had no idea my best friend was dealing with those type of issues. But I came to realize there is a lot of education, there is a lot of support out there, and I didn't realize that until it happened to me and I started having those conversations with people. So the next one is going to be in September. We haven't booked the specific date yet, but it'll be in September.
Beautiful. Thank you for holding that space. Those conversations are incredibly important. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
If you want to get in touch with Bernie, you can follow him here on LinkedIn. You can also scan this QR code here that will take you directly to his services. We do have a question that popped up,
Awesome.
which is how long should a breakout room be and what are the factors to consider? It's a great
Ooh,
question.
such a good question. Well, the short answer is it should be as long as it needs to be for it to be effective, right? So it
Mhm.
depends on the activity that you're trying to do, but it also depends on how long your overall event is, right? If it's a 1 hour masterclass, you probably don't want to spend a quarter of your time in breakout rooms, right? So you want to keep it pretty short and succinct, something for them to, again, engage in, but be able to come back out quickly. Now, if you're running a half day or multi-day event, like you could spend 20 or 30 minutes in a breakout room working through a situation or a challenge or whatever the case may be, and that's not a big deal. I would say kind of general rule of thumb, don't spend more than a quarter of your time in breakout rooms, whatever that means.
Yeah,
For one
terrific.
event.
Yeah, that I feel like it is it's really gauging like how long is your event and what is, again, going back to the objective, the intention.
Yeah.
And there's other things that you can include too. Like you didn't mention it, Bernie, but like music transitions are
Okay.
fun, finding fun ways for people to move from one room to the next, right?
Mhm.
So physicality in these Zoom spaces can
Yeah.
be used. Uh, I have had even I did a large training, at the beginning of the year for about 400 people, and we would just play like, we would set a timer, and they would do a brainstorm just with their
Mhm.
cameras on. We'd play some really cool hit music in the
Mhm.
background that didn't have any words to it, and if people needed to turn off their cameras, they could, but they knew they had 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So just being really clear too, I feel is incredibly important.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, what is it? Brene Brown, clear as kind. Right?
Clarity is kindness. It's my mantra.
Right?
Clarity is kindness.
Absolutely.
I always, as a business owner, I always think if something goes wrong, I'm like, where was I not clear?
Mhm.
Where was I
Mhm.
not clear? Because it wasn't my fault. It was probably my fault. If
My
it went
fault. That's
wrong, it
right.
was my fault.
That's right. And I want to touch on the music piece, Meredith. Like that is
Yeah.
such a fantastic way to immediately raise the energy of the room. Like,
Yes.
I literally start every single one of my events with walk-on music. And any of my clients that I'm working with, I always ask them, if you were a professional wrestler, what would your walk-on music be?
Yes.
Yep.
What's yours, Bernie?
So I have a couple that I like. So one is my tried and true, which is Stevie Wonder Superstition. I absolutely love that song. Love walking into that. The second one that I just started using, Probably haven't heard it. It's Too Easy by Nick Price, I think is his name. It's a little bit more of a rap song, but it makes me vibe, makes me.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah,
I've never thought about this question.
yeah,
I love that. I
yeah. I
think
love doing
so I'm gonna use a song that when I was living in Chicago and auditioning a lot, I would play before I'd go into my auditions, 'cause I feel like it's similar. It's called the band you'll probably not know, but they're called Brand Van 3000.
it.
You ever
No,
heard of
no.
them?
Mm-mm.
Okay. I don't even know if they're together anymore. I don't think they are. But it was called Everywhere. There was something about it that just was really, like, for me, really energizing. I
Yeah.
loved it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I always do entry music, and anytime I can play a little bit of music throughout the course of an event as well, I try to. Like one of my clients that I worked with for a while, he would have them work independently for about half of the session, like an hour-long session, half
Yeah.
of it, they would be working independently, and we would play Mozart throughout the
Yeah.
course. Like, and they were just doing some deep, thinking work, but everybody was there, was present, and the music just it flowed. It was perfect.
I think that's great.
Yeah.
All right. We've gotten some amazing takeaways today. We talked about, for our listeners, we talked about how to engage your audience more effectively
Mhm.
and create experiences for them virtually, how to have better virtual backgrounds through lighting, sound, all the stuff. Don't take that stuff for granted, because how you show up, people will spend the first 7 seconds, they'll make a decision about you. I actually think it's now 3.
Yeah, you're
I
probably
think it's
right.
3 now, which is God help us all.
Right.
Um, and then to hire somebody like Bernie, find somebody that's gonna run your tech for you. Don't be doing it alone. Be as present as you can with your audience, because when you're not present with your audience, you're inevitably gonna lose opportunities.
Absolutely.
All right. Bernie, anything else that you wanna say before we bow out here today?
Thank you for having me on the show, Meredith. We probably could have continued this conversation for a good hour or two easily. There's
Probably. We would have moved into other topics. We could have nerded
so
out.
many war stories, right? You could just nerd out on it.
I have
Um,
so many. I have really good stories. I have more good stories than war stories. How about you?
I would say at this point, mostly good stories. A
Good.
lot of the bad ones happened early in COVID, and there were some really bad stories from then.
Live and learn,
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
Failure makes us grow.
Right,
I
right.
love it. I'm going to put your QR code up there one more time. Please follow Bernie on LinkedIn if you're not already. We're also here on YouTube. Do you have a YouTube channel?
I do. Yep, I
Tell
do.
us what it is, my friend.
It is Insignia Training Partners. Gosh, now I got to go to it. I should know this off the top of my head,
I
probably,
know,
shouldn't
but
I?
we have
Yeah.
so many. All the socials. All the socials.
All the socials. Yeah. If you search Insignia Training Partners, you'll find me. It
And you can
is.
reach out to me. I'll guide you to the right place.
Yeah.
So this was streaming live on YouTube as well. We always repurpose content so that you can always find value. Thank you for being here. We will be here again next month with a new guest, 12 p.m. Eastern Time on Monday. This will be coming out soon as a podcast as well. The Speakers Lounge will, so be listening for that. And so excited and happy to have all of you here. And I'm going to play my really fun music again for outro. Here we go.